This guy needs to step it up this year, and we should be seeing the production continue to climb for the former top 5 pick. Today, we're talking about Kayvon Thibodeaux, edge rusher for the New York Giants. And Kayvon Thibodeaux, I think, is poised for a breakout year, a huge year. And I think we've been speaking on this topic for him for a while. But this year especially, I think he's coming into the season different. Let's talk about what Kayvon Thibodeaux is doing entering this season. Listen, Giants fans, we are 1 week away from training camp kicking off, man. I want to need you guys to comment down below, man. Which training camp you're pulling up to? I'm pulling up on the weekend of August 2nd. So definitely, I need y'all to let me know down below, man, when you're pulling up to Giants training camp. And let's jump straight in on Kayvon Thibodeaux. Kayvon Thibodeaux potentially seeing his successor drafted ahead of him, with Abdul Carter joining the team. Kayvon Thibodeaux, once again, is a former top 5 pick who hasn't really reached the potential that we thought he could have, especially being one of the first edge rushers taken in his draft and living up to it against the other edge rushers in that draft class. Travon Walker, Aiden Hutchinson, he was supposed to be as productive as those guys, and he hasn't really been that for the New York Giants outside of 1 year. And we'll talk about what he's done in his time with the New York Giants. Year 1, he played 14 games, putting up 4 sacks, and honestly was a little skinny compared to himself now. And obviously, it's his first year in the league. Second year, he boomed up with 11.5 sacks, playing all games that season, which once again, I think that's super important. Played all 17 games under Wink Martindale, putting up 11.5 sacks, double-digit sacks, and that's the type of production you want to see out of Kayvon Thibodeaux. Now, some people feel like Kayvon Thibodeaux was only stacking those against bad opponents. The Washington, you got teams like the Jets where he had 3 sacks in that game, so stacking up sacks against bad teams, but when good teams are on the field, you don't really hear Kayvon Thibodeaux's name much. And then last year, he missed the most games in his career, only playing 12 games with 5.5 sacks. So Kayvon Thibodeaux's sacks numbers have not been there, but when you think about the impact that he's making on the field, that's also what you want to see. You want to see how disruptive he is and if he's making a difference in the run game, which we know is not his strong suit. So Kayvon Thibodeaux has that year last year where he gets hurt, he misses a lot of games, and the Giants draft Abdul Carter, where Abdul Carter is supposed to be a premier edge rusher, the best edge rusher in this class, and I'm glad that they didn't shy away from doing it just because Kayvon Thibodeaux's on the team. And the first response for everyone is Kayvon Thibodeaux getting traded? Is Kayvon Thibodeaux on the way out? Kayvon Thibodeaux will be on this team entering this season. Now, what happens postseason after the season starts? I can't really bank on anything. But Kayvon Thibodeaux's still on this team, and they're going to keep 3 of them as a trio, continue to obviously wreck defenses this year. Now, when you think about the potential for this D-line, everyone's talking about this D-line being top 5, and which it should be. It should be one of the best, if not the best D-line in the NFL. But I felt that way last year. Injuries obviously plagued us. We had Dexter Lawrence out. We got Kayvon Thibodeaux out. Brian Burns was playing on a bad hammy for a good chunk of the year. So when you think about them being healthy altogether, it should be a top pass rushing unit. And then you add a guy like Abdul Carter, who draws comparisons to Micah Parsons, to other, speedy edge rushers. Abdul Carter should be wreaking havoc, but I need Kayvon Thibodeaux to do the same. And when I tell y'all, I don't want to focus on offseason workouts, but Kayvon Thibodeaux been putting in the work. You can see it. He's putting in the work, and I think this is the biggest he's been ever since he's been on the team in terms of, obviously muscle mass, in terms of him looking locked in. I think Kayvon Thibodeaux is poised for a breakout year, a huge year, if he can stay healthy. I need the man to stay healthy, because if you dive into the deep numbers last year when he came back on the team, Kayvon Thibodeaux was actually looking pretty good after he broke his forearm, or it was something with his arm. After he came back from that, the last 5 games of the season, he actually looked pretty good. And some people might say it was against bad competition, or, obviously the team was already checked out. I don't care what it is. Kayvon Thibodeaux actually looked pretty decent towards the end of last year. And let's see what PFF has to say about it as well. Kayvon Thibodeaux hasn't quite hit the heights you'd expect from a top 5 pick, earning a 68.7 grade in his first 3 seasons, but he impressed at times in 2024, generating 38 total pressures and 6 sacks in 12 games. That didn't stop the Giants from drafting Abdul Carter with the number 3 pick, and Carter will likely enter the season ahead of Thibodeaux along with Brian Burns. That could be damaging, but could also serve as a fresh opportunity for the former Oregon Duck. I'll have it posted there. Pause it if you want to read the rest of it. That's PFS thoughts and thinking that Kayvon Thibodeaux could be a breakout candidate this upcoming year. I think Kayvon Thibodeaux is poised for it because he also has a fire lit under him. Drafting Abdul Carter, I think, says a lot for what Kayvon's future is with the Giants. And if he doesn't put on this year, he's out the door. And I think everyone, when they get drafted to a team, wants to prove that team right. wants to prove it to the fans that, once again, you should be rooting for me, and I am that top 5 player, that number 1 type of player. Because keep in mind, he was supposed to be the number 1 pick in that draft at times. So Kayvon Thibodeaux not being that was already adding fuel to the fire, let alone drafting potentially his replacement. Kayvon Thibodeaux, I think, has a different mindset heading into this year. And that's what we want to see out of him. We want to see, obviously a sense of urgency, knowing that you might be out the door. It might be your time. Your time is over with the Giants after this year. Now, the Giants did extend, obviously, the extension for him. So we do have him for this upcoming year and the following year. But you could see a scenario where, obviously, he's on the last year of his deal. You can see the Giants trying to trade off Kayvon Thibodeaux with an expiring deal coming off the books. And then whatever team wants to pick him up, obviously has to pay him. The same way the Giants picked up Brian Burns. When it was time for Brian Burns to be on that last year, the Giants took him over and extended him, gave him a new deal. You can see that type of situation happening for other teams with Kayvon Thibodeaux. But I don't even want to look past to that point. Kayvon Thibodeaux coming differently, moving differently. I hope he stays healthy, and I think he's poised for a big breakout year. And just thinking about, once again, him on the field with Brian Burns, with Abdul Carter, and also Dexter Lawrence. That's extremely important. Get all of these guys on the field, and maybe his sack totals are not going to be up there, but I need all of them to be disruptive, and especially Kayvon Thibodeaux. I want to see him stand up against the run. That's the biggest thing. I know that's our weakness, and that's been our weakness. And you think about all of our edge rushers, they're all not really great in that department. Can we see a difference be made by Kayvon Thibodeaux? Can we see him try to make those strides and try to, once again, put his game together completely? I do think he has the ability to be a good pass rusher in this league. The sack numbers don't jump off the books for you, but I do think Kayvon Thibodeaux can be that for this team and in this league. It's about him putting it all together and him being consistent, doing it against premier tackles, doing it against good teams. I want to see that out of Kayvon Thibodeaux, because some people can make the argument, maybe he was stat padding against bad tackles. I just want to see him dominate whoever's across him, no matter what team it is. Can we get after the NFC East quarterbacks? That's the biggest thing. Can we get after Dak Prescott, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts? Can we get after those guys? When you have a star-studded cast around you, where you can make the argument Kayvon Thibodeaux is probably the least talented out of the group, you can make that argument. You can put Abdul Carter above him, Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence. Can we see Kayvon Thibodeaux make more out of his situation and be one of the best edge rushers in this team? That's what I want to see out of Kayvon Thibodeaux, and I think he's putting in the work to do it. I just got to see it on the field, man. I'm excited for training camp to come around once again. Let me know down below if you're pulling up to Giants training camp. Let me know your thoughts on Kayvon Thibodeaux. Is he going to be a big player for this team this upcoming year? I want you to let me know, man, what are your expectations for Kayvon Thibodeaux? I'm expecting around 6 to 8 sacks. I'm putting the predictions out there. 6 to 8 sacks, but he's going to be disruptive. The sack numbers might not have to be there, but he can do a lot more things to impact the game. Once again, appreciate y'all for watching the video. Comment down below your thoughts on it. Like up the video if you haven't already, and make sure you share the podcast, share the channel to everybody you know, every Giants fan you know. I'm going to catch you guys on the next one. Peace.